My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's Bride, from every mountain side let freedom ring.
Did you ever think about the word freedom? It's a great word with a rich historical meaning, like liberty, sovereignty, autonomy, and choice. Freedom, rightly understood, is one of those ideas that contributes to a vigorous and giving lifestyle of self-sacrifice that works hard to shape the well-being of others. What does that freedom look like? Well, picture it like this. It's a pleasant new morning in the life of a dedicated healthcare worker. For those working a normal shift, it's like waking up on a sunny new day, taking in a freshly cooked breakfast and a good cup of coffee just before heading off to work. Thinking about how much they love their job, helping patients regain their health, saving their lives, giving them encouragement and emotional support, and being there for the patient's family in troubling times to assure them with calming words. A long shift perhaps, but fulfilling with a sense of purpose and accomplishment and personal gratitude for the opportunity to serve others. That's a picture of freedom. Now let's talk about another word totally opposite of freedom. That word is tyranny. It's not a nice word, but more reminiscent of oppression, coercion, duress, cruelty, and injustice. What happens when freedom is replaced by tyranny? Specifically, what happens to healthcare employees when workplace tyranny takes control? Let's take it one step further. What happens when tyranny seeks to control the rights of the individual lives of healthcare workers with mandates over their personal medical freedoms? It can only lead to a bad conclusion, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm speaking for the Pennsylvania Informed Consent Advocates Corporation. That's PICA for short. They are a group of nearly 250 current and former dedicated healthcare employees of Penn Medicine and Lancaster General Hospital. They are fighting for their rights, and your rights too, to maintain freedom of choice over the medical decisions of their own bodies and lives. That's right, medical freedom and bodily autonomy. Does that sound like too much to ask for? No, I didn't think so either. It's pretty clear, but since May of 2021, those rights have been under assault. Unfortunately, after so much effort to convince Penn Medicine about healthcare employee rights, our pleas fell upon deaf ears. Our only remedy was to seek the assistance of legal counsel, and we did just that and had brought our case to the Federal District Court for justice to put a stop to this workplace tyranny. So many of us have sacrificially given already to our legal fund, but we need much more help to meet our goal for giving. Will you help us? This is our future, but this is also your future. How is that? Mandates will not stop with just employees. Patient services, tests, x-rays, doctor visits, and surgery will all one day force mandates on you as well. Following this introduction, we would ask you to watch and listen to a collection of stories from former healthcare workers with firsthand experience of what it is like to have their careers, their lives, their finances, and their passion for service ended by the reckless and self-serving dictates of their employer. We hope this will move you to assist us by giving to our online Give, Send, Go donation website, which will be posted at the end of the video.
Hi, I've been asked to speak to you folks as to why, how the vaccine, the COVID-19, what they call a vaccine, has affected me and my family and really the hospital community. I work as a hospitalist, which means I work in the hospital. I've done my entire practice within the hospital. I've never had a negative, I've never been to court. I've never had any negative reviews. My nurses love me because I listen to them. They're the smartest people in the world. And I was living my life somewhat in oblivion, going through this pandemic, knowing that there's a lot about the pandemic that I found to be interesting, and wasn't fully on board with a lot of the mandates that we are having as far as like wearing or recommendations, wearing masks and stuff like that. But I really didn't know what what was coming down the road. What was coming down the road was one day, out of the blue, no meetings, no memos, no nothing. The CEO hit a button and it said, and all of a sudden this mandate is made known to all the staff. We were all just gobsmacked. They're like, what? And two nurses reached out to me from ICU. They said, Dr. Knoll, if you're going to open a practice, we want to be part of it. We opened up a Facebook group within 2 weeks probably. We had over 1,000. Within 8 weeks, we had over 2,000 people on Facebook when they shut us down. We opened, and so then these are nurses who have fought and who have been frontline heroes throughout the entire pandemic. And all of a sudden, now they are being harassed in the hospital. They are being told they need to get this thing. They're told they're selfish, ignorant, etc. And all these nurses, they're all young women who are considering having children. They have families. They're breastfeeding their children. And these are not your typical vaccine. They said there's all these vaccines that you're mandated to have. Well, this is not a traditional vaccine. It's a new technology, number one. Number two, it has not gone through all the approved things that all medications go through. It's in a trial. It's in a phase 3 trial. So it has not gone through any of those things. And the VAERS website shows there's all these adverse effects. So I have scared nurses who are going down and crying as they're getting their jab to feed their children, or crying as they're losing their job. Now me, they also said, as of January, a spotless record, I said something on a camera and they said I don't match up with their values. So they're not renewing my contract. And for me, I can kind of get another job here. I can get another job there. I can do locum tenens. it's not a big deal for me. Another thing is nursing students who, as high schoolers, started working as patient care techs. I'm talking fast, I apologize. And then 2 years of nursing school and got 75% of their tuition reimbursed. Okay, 75%. They were told, you need to get that shot, or in 90 days, you need to pay back tens of thousands of dollars. That to me is one of the most egregious things that I, to be very honest, get extremely angry about, like a papa bear. These children are told, pay back $10,000 in 90 days or take an experimental vaccine that's been shown to be causing all kinds of adverse events on the government website. So, I hate to be the one, but I'm the angry guy. I'm more angry than anything because I can lose my job. But there's a lot of innocent people out there whose lives are being disrupted. They're coming to me. They're seeing one nurse is not even doesn't believe in God, but she's like, I see all these strokes, I see all these heart attacks, and I know that it's coming from these experimental shots. And she said, I have 2 children. I cannot be sick. I cannot be debilitated. And she came to me for help. So these are my emotions. And to be very honest, I have a very strong faith. And my God has told me, just through His Word and through the movement of His people, that this is not something that we as Christians should be part of. It's a worldwide effort to force against our freedom of body autonomy to inject something into our body against our will for a disease process that has a 99.7% survival. I could talk for hours on this, but I have 5 minutes, so I think I'm about done. God bless you, and there are a lot of hurting people out there, and they need our help. Amen. God bless.
Hi, I'm a healthcare worker. I've been in medical field for the last 43 years. The last 34 have been with the same health system. I have lots of critical care and trauma experience. I've done PRN for staffing, and then 5 years ago I stepped out to an office for office manager. And I was faced with this shot being mandated, and I have medical history that would be contraindicated for getting this shot. I also have a very firm Christian belief. So when I was mandated, get the shot or lose your job, I had to decide which was most important to me. And so with lots of prayer and discussion with my husband, I decided I was not getting the shot, and so I lost my job as a result of that. I was willing to lose my job knowing that I would lose my insurance, the ability to support my family. My husband is on disability, so I'm the primary breadwinner for the family and carry the bulk of the bills. So my husband was very supportive, and he said, under no circumstances are you getting this, and we'll figure it out. And so I just want to tell you that even though I made that decision, and it's been a little tough as far as financial, it's been a little tough. Currently I have no health insurance. Supporting my family has been a little bit of a challenge at times, but when you step out on faith and trust God, He carries you. And my firm belief is that He's not going to take me, He didn't bring me to this to drop me. He is going to get us through this. So, I have friends who've had strokes within several weeks of having their shots. I have friends who've died from cancer that is so aggressive, and they're gone in 6 weeks from diagnosis. So it's been a strengthening of my faith to be without this job, be without that job. But it's been good in the sense that it's really made me come full circle to who I really am and what I believe and what is important in my life. My husband's on disability, so that's what we're living on right now, which sometimes that makes it a little tough. The biggest things that I miss the most is being able to spend time with my patients and to help people, because as far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a nurse and to help people. I love teaching. I would spend a large portion of my day at work on phone calls and doing education with patients, or having them come in and going over medications and side effects and how we could, maybe change things up a little bit, make it easier. So I really miss that aspect of my job, but I just know that God has something better for me in the future, and it's been a challenge, but it's been good in a lot of ways. And even though strokes run in my family and I had anaphylaxis in 2009, I couldn't get anybody to do a medical exemption, and my religious exemption was denied. So I'm without the job that I currently had, and we're trusting God and doing the best we can. So the biggest thing for me was, you are replaceable at your job. You're not replaceable at home. And that's where your real life is at home. So that's something to think about when you're making those tough decisions. What is most important to you? So my husband's been supportive, and he said, we're going to do this together, we'll make it through, and so it's been great. And I just hope you really think about it and take the time to really seriously consider, the consequences of taking that shot versus not taking it and being able to continue to produce for your family and take care of them. God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hello, I'm a healthcare worker, formerly at Penn Medicine, Lancaster General Hospital. In May of 2021, I got COVID. When I came back to work, there was an email in my mailbox from John Herman, Chief Executive Officer of Lancaster General Hospital, stating that all Penn Medicine employees would be mandated to get the COVID vaccine by September 1st, 2021, or be terminated. My heart sank. I love my job, and I planned on retiring there in a few years. Since I had COVID, I knew I had natural immunity. I had worked through the pandemic, through all the ups and downs and changes. I wasn't able to fill out the religious exemption. The 7 pages of questions were very overwhelming to me. My mom was in and out of the hospital, and she was very ill. I had a lot of stress in my life during the course of the deadline. I thought the 2-page medical exemption would be the easiest for me. I could not get my doctor to sign it. I did have a good medical reason, but my doctor talked to the managing physician, and they said that they would not sign the exemption. My mom died in June. I ran out of time, and my mind wasn't focused, and I lost my opportunity. On August 31st, 2021, I was put on an unpaid suspension, and then on September 16th, I received my termination letter in the mail. I always thought that my health was my choice. At least that is what we told our patients when they came in for registration. Number 2 of the consent for treatment form says, I am aware that I may refuse any drugs, treatment, and/or procedures offered to me. And number 9 of the patient bill of rights says that I have a right to decline treatment. I never knew that getting a job at Lancaster General Hospital, Penn Medicine, would be something that I would truly love. I initially went into the job because my husband was self-employed and we needed the insurance. The job provided our family with the much needed insurance, and I can say that it was outstanding. I received vacation time for just working part-time and also retirement benefits. I was very grateful, and I expressed this to management over the course of the 10 years. This job helped us financially in so many ways. I have never applied for unemployment before, but because I was forced out of my job, I have applied for compensation. As of today, it is still pending. We have purchased a private health care plan, but it is not as good and is more expensive than the one I had with my previous employer. I worked as a customer service specialist at Women and Babies. We are considered frontline workers and essential employees. We are open 24/7. There is no excuse for us to not show up to work. We worked hard and steady during the coronavirus. We had done it before when there were other health scares of viruses and influenzas that came around, but this one was the scariest. We never complained about working. We knew we were putting ourselves on the front line. When you work for a hospital, you have a different mentality. You want to and need to be there for your team and for the patients. I always said I was just a customer service specialist, but I realized my job was more important than that. I realized I could actually make a difference in the experience that the patients would have. I really liked what I did, and I was told that I was good at it. I was a very dedicated Lancaster General Health employee. In fact, sometimes I actually felt like I was part of LGH because I cared so much. I would actually take the initiative to look for things to save the organization money. I also like to look for things to change to help make registration simpler. I also just asked my supervisor over and over again for extra things to do. My goal was to have the patients have the best experience possible. I wanted LGH to be the best hospital. I wanted the patients to come in, and I wanted to make the difference so that they looked back and they said, that was a really good experience. I respected everyone's job there, from housekeeping to PCAs to nurses to doctors. We ran like a body because everybody is needed. If one part is not working, it affects all the others, from the staff to patients. It's so hard to compensate for open positions or for those who are not doing their job well. We need everyone, and people can see when you are lacking in these areas. The staff had been there for many years. I made many, many friends, and I could tell that they really enjoyed working there because they felt that they were valued. It was so sad to see the people leave their jobs, especially those that had been there for many, many years. They didn't want to, but because of the mandate, they either quit or were terminated. When you look at the length of time that a person stays at a job, it definitely says something about an organization. I was that person. In May of 2021, I was so excited. I celebrated my 10th year anniversary. I was proud of it. Until this year, I was not given a choice. It is so sad to see how the organization has changed. In the end, it is not about the people.
So I'm a healthcare worker, and I worked in radiology at a hospital, and I was terminated over a COVID-19 vaccine mandate. The mandate came on May 19th. We were to have the vaccine or an exemption by September 1st. My medical exemption was denied, despite being signed by my primary care physician. My religious exemption was granted for 6 months, or as they saw fit. I found out after September 1st that the requirements for the religious exemption included nasal swab testing twice a week, every week, which adds up to 104 tests over the course of a year. Tried asking questions about this because I had problems with the testing as well as the vaccine, and was met with a lot of unanswerable questions. Couldn't get answers to things that should be an easy answer. Had a lot of pushback from them. I just felt like I was really being forced into either getting the testing, getting the shot, or losing my job, which I love and I've had for over 6 years. I started there straight out of college, planned on retiring from there unless I moved out of the area. And now that's all gone because my employer tried to tell me what to put in my body. And that's simply not right. Where does it go from here? What's the next thing they're going to tell me that I have to have? If something impacts me outside of work that they're trying to require, they shouldn't be able to require it. That's one of the biggest problems that I have with something like this. The amount of stress that I've been under since May 19th and ongoing until this day, which is a month after I was terminated, it has been unbelievable. I feel like I'm in an almost constant fight or flight mode, which is not good for my physical or mental health. I'm just kind of waiting for the next ball to drop. I have a job lined up, and I'm just waiting for it to happen there also. I just recently got married, so now I'm starting out married life unemployed on a single income, and even having a job lined up, neither of us know what's going to happen at either of our jobs. So it's supposed to be a happy time, all these exciting changes, and everything has been completely flipped upside down. Everything is just so questionable. And just the fact that an employer can make me feel that way after the 6 years that I gave them, it's not right.
Well, thank you. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for almost 30 years. I want to thank everyone who's listening to this for supporting medical freedom. We're definitely in some uncharted times, and it's been extremely difficult. I never imagined that this would happen. I never imagined that I could be unemployed due to a mandate of this nature. I'm not opposed to vaccines, but I believe that we have the right to decide what we want in our body. I would never put my patients in ways harm. My career was my life. But with these agents, we have no long-term data. And I don't think that you should have to choose between your livelihood and whether or not you want to be part of a clinical trial. And I don't think that a large part of the public realizes that they are part of a clinical trial. And that's disturbing. Well, it's a huge economic impact. And we've made some adjustments. And we'll get by because God provides, and I never went into nursing for the money to begin with. So that's kind of irrelevant. But what's uncertain is the future mandates that are coming out now for the rest of the country and other employees that aren't in healthcare. And so my husband is now potentially going to be affected by unemployment because he's not going to take the vaccine, and he's not agreeable to twice-a-week testing that he has to pay for out of pocket when you're not symptomatic. Kind of puts us in a pickle. So my husband came home with COVID last month, and my daughter and I, the rest of our family, we did end up getting COVID. And so we have natural immunity. And you can't take any of these injections even if you wanted to for at least 3 months for safety reasons. So there's another issue with employment because nobody wants to recognize natural immunity. I don't understand why in today's world and with the science that we have, if we're following the science, why natural immunity is not recognized. So in closing, I just want to encourage everybody who's facing these mandates to realize that there is early treatment and therapeutics that can be given to fight this virus, and the vaccine is not the be-all and end-all, and to stand true to yourself.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for walking this journey with us and hearing everybody's stories and seeing that the decisions and the grief cycle and the grief process that every single one of us had to walk, myself included. This was not an easy or light decision made, and it's really truly impacting families, healthcare workers across this entire nation. This is not just localized to our immediate area, but we have stood up and we're fighting. We have filed a lawsuit October 7th of 2021 through Bruce Castor Jr. at the MTV Law in Philadelphia. We are suing Penn Medicine, as well as the director of OSHA, as well as the director of the United States Department of Health. This is unconstitutional, what's happening, and we need your help. We need your help for you to help us to continue to stand, but also to stand in the gap for our patients. If we're not standing for our own healthcare rights and bodily autonomy, who's to say that other patients can't do the same as well? So we need your help. You can find out more information at our website, informedconsentadvocates.com, or at our Give, Send, Go, and that will be linked below. Thank you. As always, your prayers are so coveted over us and other Americans going through this as well. I thank you for your time, and please share our story. We can fight this together. With God's help, we can fight this. Thank you.